Because
Act,
Act
oh,
2 takes place in Cyprus.
Very good. Act two takes place in Cyprus, and they're just sort of like magically there at the beginning of Act two. We don't have anything about their voyage. They talk a little bit about it, but mainly it's just about Act one is in Venice, and then Act two is in Cyprus, and it's just going to continue in Cyprus the rest of the time. The play continues at that location throughout, just in case you wanted a little bit of a heads up on that. But we still have some people who will probably be joining us, so I don't want to start just yet. But are there any questions? I'm gonna open it up today after I do announcements and stuff. I'm gonna open it up for if there are any questions about Act Two. I do have a study guide for you to work on this week, but maybe there were some things when you were reading that you want me to clarify a little bit. So if you could, look through your notes a little bit or through your text and just kind of see if there's anything you want to ask me and keep that handy, it might help somebody else out too, right? Like sometimes we find out that we were all wondering about the same thing.
Miss, for the concept tracker, were we gonna turn that one in by the end when we were done reading everything?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's got the different acts on it. So I want you to track those different concepts. We're going to write some themes, and we'll probably do a longer essay. I'll let you choose whichever theme you want to write about. But yeah, we're going to turn those in, or they're going to be useful to us in another way at the end. So you'll work on concept tracker for Act 2 this coming week while you're working on the study guide. I mean, we could do an act a week, but then you'd be reading and completing all that stuff in a week. And I just don't think that's necessary. I think it's better to read it, work on it, think about it, look at the little, moments in the scene. I guess I'm a depth person. I think it's better to look at a piece of literature as deeply as we can instead of trying to cover, like, I don't know, there's this one lady that was at one of the readings that I went to in Salt Lake City, and she says that she has her classes read 16 books a year. And I'm like, I think that's cool, but how well do they remember and how much have they thought about that text? You know what I mean? Like, I feel like we thought about Metamorphosis on a psychological and philosophical level, and I think that that's more valuable. Like, to me, it's not about how many books you've read, it's about what you did with the books that you did read and the meaning that they can provide to you in your life. And I want to make sure that you can leave here, or wherever you are, here, east. I want to make sure that you can leave high school, like being able to read anything, whatever they put in front of you, whatever your path takes you. And I think if you can read Shakespeare plays and sonnets and understand them, then you could probably read whatever manual they're going to give you over there in the engineering department, right? So I feel like it's just about strategies for reading and depth. But not everybody agrees with me. I understand that. But I don't know about 16 books. She says every marking period they have 2 books that they read together and 2 books that they read on their own, or 1 or 2 books that they read on their own.
Are they like long books?
Yeah, like novels, like, the stuff that we did over Christmas.
That's a lot.
Yeah. 16. I'm like, I don't know. On one hand, I think it's cool because it's cool to read a lot of books, but how do you have time to really have conversations about it when you're just trying to get through the material? I don't think this is the kind of class where you should be trying to just get through material. Save that for math or whatever.
Yeah, plus those students have like other classes as well. So they might be reading, but they're trying to get it out of the way as fast as possible.
Right. So if you're just trying to flip pages and run your eyes over them, that's reading, but it's not really reading to me. But I don't know, I have unpopular opinions, so unfortunately you guys have to suffer through my unpopular opinions. Also, I wanted to let you know that I have made a decision about the week after spring break. I'm going to be spending spring break in Michigan with my family. My parents got the vaccine. I was really sad that I haven't seen them in over a year. My sister, my niece, and my nephew. And the main reason we didn't go is because my parents are in their 80s and a lot of airports, and I stay with my parents when I go. So I just didn't want to risk infecting them. But now they have the vaccine. My parents both have the vaccine. My sister and her family have all had the vaccine. I'm the only one who hasn't. But maybe I'll get it while I'm up there. I don't know. But so now I feel a lot better about going. So I'm going to be up there for spring break. And then to make it really count with them, I wanted to take the week after that. So I plan to do that day. I think that week we'll just have one class meeting on the Monday, like we're going to do this week. And you'll work on your assignments as usual. But I just wanted to let you know in case that Monday, I don't know what the system's going to be like. I know they have Wi-Fi, but I don't know. I haven't tried to Zoom from their system, their network up there. So if something happens, I'll just send you a message. But I'm super excited. And I know what I think. I was thinking about it this weekend. I think I'm a lot happier now that I have something to look forward to. I feel like that's the key through this whole thing. And that can be whatever you want, right? Like it can be like, oh, I'm gonna go buy a new notebook, or, oh, 2 weeks from now I get to go and visit my cousin, or whatever it is. I feel like we have to consistently make things to look forward to. And so that's just a tip from me to you, I guess. I feel a lot better now that I have the plans it's a big plan. I mean, that's a big thing to go and do, but it kind of pulled me out of a little slump because I was thinking, just I wasn't thinking let's let this school year get over, but I was kind of thinking let's just get this school year over with. And then now I just feel more energized and I feel more excited about life, I think, now that I have something that it's sort of like the carrot out in front of me, I guess. So I don't know if that will work for you if you're feeling down, but it's been helping me. So I think I'll just keep making things 2 weeks in the future so that I can just keep trying to stay, lively and all that good stuff. Anyway, let me share my screen here. Hopefully, y'all had a good weekend. Did you all enjoy your weekend? The weather was all right.
It was all right.
Yeah, nothing special. Nothing special. Well, we are getting closer and closer to graduation and the end of the school year. I'm going to hold the seniors back at the end of today's class period because the counseling department has asked me to share the video with you about how the local scholarships are going to be completed. So all the seniors, I'm going to run you through that video. They made a video and I'll play it for you and give you access to it so you can watch it again later. It opens tomorrow. So all those local scholarships for seniors that we've been talking about, or maybe you've been hearing about, I'm going to talk to the seniors about that and another opportunity that's very exciting when we finish. And the juniors don't have to stick around for that. I mean, if you want to be overly prepared for next year, you can certainly stick around. But we'll do that toward the end. I think there'll probably be some times as we get closer to graduation where they want me to tell you guys stuff about graduation or relate stuff to you. So we'll probably do that same sort of thing whenever that comes up. At the end, I'll just hold all the seniors for another 5 or 10 minutes. But anyway, this week we have Act 2 of Othello. Just a reminder, this is an A week. So there was some confusion last week about whether it was an A week or a B week. And it was a B week. And now that we have an A week, so we have formatives all 3 days this week. But Friday is something kind of fun. It usually is. Also, please put in your reminders and tell your parents that there's going to be a parent and student meeting for AP students next Tuesday, not tomorrow, next week Tuesday on the 9th at 5 p.m. This is a meeting where Mrs. Sid, and I think she's asked all of the AP teachers to be there because there's going to be some breakout rooms or something. But the main focus of the topic is about the exams in May and how they're like the logistics for how they're going to happen, what the paper pencil is going to be like here on campus, digital options, etc. So she's going to address all of that on the 9th. So write that down, put it on your calendar, let your mom, dad, whoever know so that they can participate in that, because the tests, they're still saying that they're going to be full-length tests. And Miss Sid's trying to get all that straightened around so that everybody has access to the information about how it's going to work. We've talked about it already, so it's not brand new, but she's the one in charge. So she's the one that wants to meet with your parents so that they know. I think mainly it's to reassure them how they're going to do things if you decide to come to campus and test, how they're going to be ensuring your safety and all of that good stuff, because they're hoping that you will come. We've already talked about how the advantage with the paper pencil is that you'll get to go back to previous questions, but with the digital, you cannot. With the online one, you just have to go through the questions. You can't ever go back to look at previous questions, etc. So there's a huge advantage to doing an in-person test. But anyways, we've already talked about that. So do jot that down, and I'll remind you probably next Monday that that's happening, but let your parents know so that they can set aside some time if possible. I have graded the Act 1 study guides. Those have already been put into the grade book. Some people did not turn that in. You might want to go back and check that. Just, they were due yesterday, I think. I changed the deadline to yesterday or Friday or something like that, the Act 1 study guide. So if you haven't had a chance to do that, go back and do that. Also, I'm working on the scores for the timed essay. I did not finish them in time for class today, but I will have them done by Wednesday. So you'll get yours back with some feedback about your score and why I'm scoring it 1 to 6 the way that it is. I'm not sure. Here's what I'm thinking about grading those essays for the grade book. I'm thinking that at the end of the 6 weeks, we'll probably do 3 practices, maybe 4 written timed essays before the end of the 6 weeks. And I'm thinking that what we'll do is take your best one as your grade, or one that you wanted to revise. So instead of putting in 4 grades for each one of the essays, I think it's to your advantage to wait and see how they all play out, and then we'll take your best scoring one and put that in like as a major grade or something like that. That way it's truly practice when we're working on it. Now, do you think that that's good, or do you think that you want credit in the grade book for each one that you do?
We either get credit for all of them or for our best one, right? It's either or.
Well, I mean, I'm willing to hear your opinions about that. Anybody have any ideas about that, or I should just choose? We can talk about it later. I mean, they're going to be there in the classroom, so we can go back to them at any point in time. But I'm thinking of them more as practice than tests. So the more feedback you get, the more time you spend doing timed essays and honing your skill on being able to approach those, the better they will get. So if this first one is a 4, maybe there's a 5 later on when you're a little bit more comfortable with the time. And instead of averaging those out, which would bring down the top score that you had, we can just say your best score is what goes in there. I was trying to think of it for your best, like GPA advantage, but think about it and let me know. I'm kind of leaning toward doing the putting your best score in there, which is kind of like dropping your lowest sort of thing. But you can let me know if you have any opinions as you think about it. Any case, those will be coming up later toward the midpoint of the week. Let's talk about that essay a little bit. I have some materials to share with you about it. The topic was this essay here called Modern Love. Oh wait, that's not even the right one that I put on there. It's, hold on. I think it is, no. Sorry, I thought I had the right one. Oh yeah, that was it. It's this one here, right? So on Wednesday, we had a timed essay, and it was on this poem called Modern Love, or it's from a longer poem called Modern Love. This was on the AP exam, I don't know, like before you were born. But it doesn't matter because we can practice as many times as we want. And I changed I changed the prompt to match the way they write it up now, because they wrote it up that way differently back in those early days. So it said, the following poem is taken from Modern Love, a poetic sequence written by the English writer George Meredith in 1862. All right, so already in 1862, I'm thinking, okay, I'm at least 150 years ago, the language and all that stuff, I have to kind of adjust for that. Read the poem carefully, then in a well-written essay, analyze how Meredith uses poetic elements and techniques to convey a view of modern love. So the task in this essay was to say what Meredith's view of modern love is. You had to nail that down and you had to state that. It's not clear in the topic here. So once you read the poem, you had to say, okay, for Meredith, modern love equals whatever your interpretation of the poem might be. And that should be your thesis. And then I would think, okay, what are the most prominent devices that are used to create that? In this case, I would say it's probably comparison. It's probably something along the lines of metaphor, simile, personification, that kind of thing in this poem, or imagery. Let's look at the poem. I'm gonna enlarge it here. You don't have access to it because I attached the wrong poem. But I'll just refresh your memory. It says, by this he knew she wept with waking eyes, that at his hands light quiver by her head, the strange low sobs that shook their common bed were called into her with a sharp surprise, and strangled mute like little gaping snakes dreadfully venomous to him. She lay stone still, and the long darkness flowed away with muffled pulses. Then, as midnight makes her giant heart of memory and tears drink the pale drug of silence, and so beat sleep's heavy measure, they from head to feet were moveless, looking through their black dead years, by vain regret scrawled over the blank wall. Like sculptured effigies, they might be seen upon their marriage tomb, the sword between, each wishing for the sword that severs all. So anybody want to comment on the poem itself?
I like it.
You like it? What did you like about it?
I just like the topic he's talking about. I just think it's very interesting because there's many
Yeah.
things you can say about it, and there's no like this is right, this is wrong. It's kind of
Right.
like a
Well, I
free
think it would
topic.
be wrong to say that he thinks modern love is beautiful and positive for the people involved. It's not, according to Meredith, right? Like, you'd have to note that she is crying and they're, living a life that's already dead, basically. Yeah. So it's definitely not your normal love poem. And it's more about his idea of modern love being one that is separate and sad and lonely. Does it say why he thinks that? No, we don't have that in the poem, so we can't speculate on that. But all we can do is take what we have there and try to figure out what he's trying to communicate about his idea of modern love. Anybody else want to make some comments about the poem? Observations? I think the two people in the couple don't have a lot in common, or they don't have a lot that they can give to each other anymore, because she's, as he reaches for her, she's crying, and she is surprised that he's even reaching for her, and then her sounds are like little snakes that are venomous to him, which obviously you don't go towards something that's venomous, you leap back from it. So if their relationship is about that kind of reaction, then it's pretty much over. The passion is dead in this relationship, for sure. I think this is one of those poems that's packed with a lot of information, a lot of detail that you can grab onto, and you're never going to get to all of it when you're writing your essay. So one of the things that we learn with time situations is that we have to pick our best path to our essay and leave all the other little gorgeous phrases and all the other really interesting comparisons and images to the side, and just we have to pick from the best, right? Sort of like when you go to the grocery store and you have to pick out tomatoes. Well, you're going to pick out the ones that, you know, are going to be best suited for you, the ones that look the best and the ripest. So you pick the ripest pieces out of the essay, knowing that you still left some really good tomatoes there. All the tomatoes, the ones that you have, are still good. So you just can't talk about everything in this essay. So I think you're going to stress yourself out if you try to do that. And maybe that's another tip for next week. Next week, we'll have another Wednesday timed essay. I like doing those on Wednesday. That way I don't have to worry about them mashing into the lesson about Othello. And we can just do it and then be done, and that's it on a Wednesday. I do have some samples. I need to take that one off because it's this one here. If you click on this one, you'll see some sample essays for this topic. They're generous at College Board, and after the scoring happens, they give a whole bunch of sample essays out, and well, actually you get them at the scoring. They've already figured out, by the time you get there as a reader, they've already figured out what's a 6, what's a 5, what's a 4, what's a 3. Back when this essay came out, it was on a 9 scale, but we can kind of take it on a, and move it to a 6 scale. But and so they train you and they say, okay, here are, all these are types of 6s and all these are types of 5s, and we go through the rubric and all that stuff. But there are some sample essays, and I think that that's really helpful to you after you've written, to go and see, okay, you're going to get feedback on your specific essay from me, but from College Board, what was a good essay? What are people doing, other people doing when they sit down to write these essays, and what's successful and what's less successful? So I just want to read to you the introductions of these. You can go back and read the whole essays if you want to. I'll tell you right now that the first one is a 6, is a top end paper. The next one is like a middle range paper, like a 4. And then the last one is like a 3. Yeah, probably like a 3. So I just want to look at the intros so that you can see how people started to work with this particular poem. This one is the 6, and it says, in the poetic sequence, Modern Love, George Meredith uses a wealth of figurative language and metaphor to portray a view of modern love as being akin to living death. This bleak, pessimistic view is communicated primarily through his use of personification and metaphor as means to characterize modern lovers. So the poem name is there, the poet's name is there, the claim is there because they're claiming that it is akin to a living death. Modern love equals what is what the question's asking, and this person answers that by saying a living death. And I think that they've got a lot to work with in the poem to prove that. There's a lot in the poem that can signify it. And they go on. Now, if you read this one, you'll notice that this person starts to refine their essay as they go through. And as they go through, they start to realize that the woman is about the internal and the man is about the external effects of modern love. And that is the kind of complexity that we're looking for the top end papers. Instead of just saying it's akin to living death and proving that, this person works themselves into the idea that one is the view of modern love from the inside and one is the view of modern love from the outside. And that is really sophisticated. So that's why it gets that extra point. So this one is structured mainly by, first by character, but then by device. So it starts with the 2 characters, the husband and the wife, and then it focuses on the wife toward the bottom of that, and quoting and so on. And then here is about the husband. And then they start talking about devices. So significant means by which the speaker communicates his ideas is figurative language and imagery. And so then they give a whole bunch of examples connecting each one back to the thesis of living death. So I'm not going to go through and read that whole thing. I don't like it when people read stuff to me. So on your own time, it might help you with your own journey on essay writing to see what that top end paper played out. Now, am I expecting for you to write this thesis? No, there are tons of score 6 thesis. You could go in lots of different directions and still get a 6. This is just what one person decided to do. Now this next one, let's look at the intro here. It says, this is paper F. The phrase used frequent, wait, yeah, that's it. That's the end of the other one. The phrase used frequently in weddings, "till death do us part," has lately become void of meaning when modern couples take and break this oath easily. This was not always the case. People used to endure such inconvenient marriages to the point that both partners suffered. In a time when marriage was forever, the English writer George Meredith sounds his silent rebellion to eternal matrimony in his poem, Modern Love. So this one is a whole different type of introduction, right? Same poem, but this one starts off with the idea, the common phrase, "till death do us part," and then works itself down to this particular poem, focusing on marriage and its seriousness compared to how people seem to throw things away so readily in our modern world. What's missing from this intro is devices and techniques, right? Like there's not a lot there about that, but they do work it in as the essay goes along. And I would probably score this about a 4. It was originally scored a 5 on a 9 scale. So, or a 6, I think. You can see how people are using quotations from the poem, maybe examine that a little bit. This is what we would consider a successful essay, but not a top-end essay. And then the K essay is a 2 or a 3 probably. Can you see the intro right here? The intro doesn't have to be long for it to be good, but look how vague it is. The modern love concept is seen in the couple's relationship that has been lost in the past through regret and sorrows. It doesn't do a whole lot and it doesn't say a whole lot. I don't think it's wrong, and I think you could prove that, but I don't think that it gets to the idea of a complete thought at the beginning of the essay or a complete claim. And then it just kind of goes through the poem in a general sort of way, and it doesn't go very deeply into the poem. So this is, probably a 3. So if you want to look through those, I think it would be helpful to you, especially since you've already written on that particular topic. So we'll do another one, not this week. We will not have a class meeting on Wednesday, but we will have one next week. So I think if we do that, we're not overdoing it and we're still having time to contemplate in between and get in Othello and do all that at a reasonable pace. If all this takes until April, I'm good with that. So we'll keep practicing. I think the next one will be a prose passage though, not poetry. So we'll practice Q2 next week, and I'll talk a little bit about that on Monday next week. Sound good? Yes? All right, well, let's talk about Othello Act 2. I asked you to think about any general questions that you had when you were reading, because you're supposed to take notes basically on character development and also like how the conflicts are developing through Act 2, because it's the rising action. So is there anything that comes to mind that you're wondering about for Act 2 that I can talk about for a little bit? Look, I'm drinking the ocean. I don't know, kind of salty. So in Act 2, I'm hoping that you noticed a couple of general things, and then your assignment is to do the study guide this week. What I'm hoping that you noticed mainly is that Iago is starting to really formulate a plan to ruin Othello. He's taking every single opportunity that's possible to plot against him. And at the same time, I don't know how he does this, because it will continue through the entire play. At the very end of the play, as the tragedy, comes to a close, it will be a shock to Othello that Iago did all these things against him. So while he's plotting against him and using every little thing, like for example, Iago notices that Desdemona and Cassio, when they arrive in Cyprus, are kind of like having a moment, and he he touches her hand or something like that, right? Like he touches her hand, and Iago notices that and is able to start manufacturing the fact that they've got something going on. And so you can make something out of nothing if you point it up and you keep saying, "Oh, look, that's weird. Oh, that's weird. Why is he holding her hand?" Or "That's weird. Why is he going in private and talking to her?" Or "That's weird. Why is he walking away when he sees you?" And Iago will start working away on Othello in that way. And his plot will start to become more complex as he sees more opportunities to frame this infidelity between Desdemona and Cassio. But it's sort of born in Act 2, is where he starts to get the idea that that's how he can accomplish his goal of Othello's downfall. So watch for that to become more and more insidious as the play goes on. And at the same time, everybody will be calling him Honest Iago. Everybody will be calling him, "Oh, thank you so much, and you're so kind and you're so helpful, and oh, I don't know what I would do without you, Iago." So there's that dramatic irony happening in the play, which is the type of irony when we know something that characters don't know. We know that he is, from his soliloquies, that he's so angry about Othello and his choice for Cassio as lieutenant that he is plotting the complete downfall of Othello. And he's not even going to care if there's collateral damage, such as Desdemona and Cassio, because they're innocent. But he's going to frame them into looking like they're not. And he doesn't care. He doesn't care that they're going to be brought down with him. And they didn't have any part. Well, he doesn't really like Cassio because Cassio got his spot. But Desdemona is completely innocent in the whole thing. And he doesn't even care. So his evil nature is scary, but what's more scary is how he can completely hide it from everyone, and everyone still thinks that he's a stand-up awesome guy. And those are the people to be scared of in life, right? Those are the people that you watch out for, because that kind of a lie is insidious. It's beyond evil. So watch for that to continue. So if you noticed that when you were reading, I think that you're probably in a pretty good place with your reading of the play. I don't know if you read outside summaries. You can certainly do that. I think sometimes it helps, but I think also you're probably good enough readers that you might not need to. So give yourself some credit and try to read it a little bit in the original. Othello is not that hard of a play, or long. So it's one of the easier ones. The assignment for this week, let me close this up because I'm going to want the seniors to stick around for a minute, besides the formatives, is the study guide for Act 2. I set it up just like the study guide for Act 1 with the chart. I tried to mix up the things I was asking you. There are some more pictures to look at. From the pictures, you should be able to identify what's happening in the play, which part of the play it is. I also asked you here, what's intensifying in Act 2? What is it that we see that is contributing to the rising action? Because Act 2 is the rising action. And then it goes through the scenes. There are fewer questions on this one. Some of them are quotations. So that's why you kind of have to read the original text also. Oh, my spell corrector is trying to correct Shakespeare. I always think that's funny. So this one is going to be due, I think Saturday. Yeah, Saturday. So on Monday next week, I'll ask you if there's anything from the study guide that you want me to spend some time talking about. And in the meantime, I will send you back your timed essay with some feedback. What else? I think that's it. Work on your formatives. Any questions? No? Okay, let me have the seniors stay back so that I can talk to them about the community scholarships, or juniors, if you're just interested. You can't apply until next year, but if you want to get a head start on how that works, then you're welcome to stick around too. But juniors, you can go if you don't want to stick around and hear that. We're going to go to this part right here that says seniors community scholarships. I have some links there for you. So one of the first, there's two things I want to talk about today. One is an opportunity that one of my former students who graduated from East is creating. I have this student, Juanita Maldonado. I want to think she graduated in 2015, I think. And she already graduated from UTRGV and she's in journalism. She does lots of spots for different news organizations, and you can see an example of it. I had her send me one, and you can see an example of her doing a report there. She's also a pageant queen, and she uses her platform. She's won many international titles. There she is. And she uses her platform to also promote her nonprofit organization. She's trying very hard to give back to the community. And one of the ways that she's doing that is through her organization that's called Empowering Mindsets. It has an Instagram account. So if you're interested in what I'm talking about or her, you can go and check out that, that account. That's her professional account. Empowering Mindsets is trying to kind of like be positive and help people, lend a helping hand and so on. So what happened was Juanita contacted me because she knew that this has been a really weird year for us, and her organization is creating something called the Prom Experience. She told me that she doesn't know what the situation is with proms this year, but you know, it's a high point in the seniors year, and we don't really know how that's going to happen, if it's going to happen. So she wants to provide 5 high school seniors with what she's calling the Prom Experience, or her organization, from the RGV. Basically what it is, it's not a scholarship. Basically what it is, it's an opportunity for 5 young women to play dress up. Of course, she doesn't say women. Oh yeah, it does say ladies, young ladies. Sorry, Renee, you're out of this one. And basically it's sort of a, they're gonna give you a dress and a photo shoot and sort of a makeup and professional hair situation, and then a photo shoot of that. So, you know, you can kind of look at what you're wearing and say, maybe these sweatpants, I need to do a Cinderella on this. And if that's interesting, if that seems like a pick-me-up, something that you could look forward to for the future, then you can apply. I told her, I said, I wanted to have enough applicants that at least one East student was one of your 5. And she said, that would be awesome. So, but it's throughout the RGV. It all depends on how much the word gets out, right? Like I'm getting the word out to my students, but I don't know if the other teachers on campus know about this. I kind of feel like on one hand for her, I want to tell everybody, but then on another hand, I don't want to tell as many people because I want you guys to have a better shot at it. So it's an essay thing. You have to write about why you should be a recipient of the Prom Experience, and it opens today and it closes on the last day of March. So you've got the month. If you're interested in that kind of thing, then I encourage you to apply. You're just going to submit your essay to this email, and you know, basically anybody who's a senior with the essay who lives in the RGV and can actually participate in the Prom Experience is encouraged to apply. So that's one opportunity that some of you might be interested. Not everybody might be interested in that though, but I bet you all are interested in the community scholarships. And if you click right here, well, you don't need to click there. I'm going to play the video for you. The counselors have made a video that explains how you can apply to all of the WISD community scholarships using one application, and it opens tomorrow. So I wanted to make sure that you had an opportunity to know how it works, how you can access it, and kind of like a run through so that you can get started on your application. It's kind of like Apply Texas in that you'll do one application, you'll be able to apply to multiple local scholarships. So I'm going to play the video that the counselors prepared, and then at the end, if you have any questions, I'll answer them for you. I have to take out my AirPods.
This presentation is to inform you about the community scholarship opportunities that Weslaco ISD offers. Community scholarships include business or community organization scholarships, church-based scholarships, in memoriam scholarships, campus-based scholarships. The application does not include the Weslaco Scholarship Foundation scholarship because that's a separate organization that grants scholarships to WISD graduates in a certain percentage of the graduating class. So that one does not require an application. So the way this works is students will fill out an application, one application, and it'll be good for all the community scholarships and school-based scholarships. Students who submit an application will be considered for campus-based scholarships only for schools that they previously attended. So if a student submits an application and that student attended Margot Elementary and Cuellar Middle School, he or she will be considered for review for those two campuses, and the campus committees will determine the recipients. All campus-based scholarships will use a district-adopted scoring rubric, which considers points for GPA, rank, ACT, SAT scores, extracurricular participation, honors and awards, etc. Students need to only include awards earned in grades 9 through 12, and they will include information about these awards, medals, and other recognitions that they have received in this short essay. The standard application is an online application that students will fill out for school-based scholarships and all local scholarships. So it's one application that covers everything. The application for school-based scholarships will be anonymous. Students will need to log into the student portal and access the scholarship application. It will be available to all WISD 2021 seniors on March 2nd and will close on March 26th at 12 o'clock noon. It's important to note the deadline, March 26th, for all community scholarships because no deadline extensions will be provided. To start the application, log into your student portal Home Access Center to begin, and under school links, click on Community Scholarship Application. The first section asks for demographic information like your last name, your first name, your address, information on your parents, your graduation plan, which should be foundation with endorsement and DLA right now, your last GPA, your last known rank, and your ACT and SAT scores, when you plan to enroll in college and your major. The parent section also asks for your parents' highest level of education. It's important you fill this out using your parents' highest level because it will qualify you for certain scholarships. Next, it asks for the colleges and universities that you are applying to in order of preference, your school activities and awards, or if you have no activities or awards, you would click this box. Then your community service and activities, where you would list it, and again, if you don't have any, you would just click here. You can't leave it blank. Then the next section will ask you to click a drop-down arrow where you will see a list of teachers from Weslaco East that you can request a letter of recommendation from. You click that, you select one teacher, the teacher will receive an email letting you know that you asked them to fill out a recommendation for them. Then you can answer this essay question. What unique opportunities or challenges have you experienced throughout your high school career that have shaped who you are today? Next is the list of scholarships. Here you can click to give you a list of the available scholarships and the criteria to qualify for those scholarships. And then here you will see that list and you click all the ones that you want to apply for. So you can apply for multiple scholarships just with this one application. The teacher recommendation due date is April the 2nd. As you're working, you can save your application as many times as you want and go back to a later date. But once you hit submit, you will not be able to go back and make changes. Students will receive an email every time they save. So if you hit this blue save button, you will receive an email that says, thank you, your scholarship application has been saved. Please make sure you log back in to submit your completed application before the deadline of Friday, March 26th. Once you have submitted, hit this red button, you will get a different email. Thank you, your scholarship application has been submitted. Please follow up with your teacher to ensure that he or she fills out your letter of recommendation. If you have questions or comments, please email Ms. Bolich at cbolich@wisd.us. And now, please click on this link
That's amazing.
You can't click on the link because it is a video. But are there any questions about the application?
What time does it open?
Tomorrow, I'm assuming around 8. It's not one of those things where first come, first serve. It's one of those things where everybody by the 26th is going to be considered. So as long as you get it done before the 26th, then that's fine. I will tell you, there's always a story after the fact about somebody who thought that when they hit save that they were submitting, but save is just saving it to go back to it later. So there's a difference. That's what she's trying to explain, a difference between the save and the submit button. So do double check that you have a submission in your email when you're done. Other questions? No? I will tell you that when you choose which instructor you want to do your recommendation, they will get an email, and then they get an email every week or every couple of days reminding them to go into the platform and do the recommendation. We had trouble last year, we couldn't do them because they set it up so that you have to be on campus in order to do the recommendations. And by the time the thing was winding down, we were already in lockdown at home. So we never got to do them for students last year. But this year, I don't know if they changed that, but we're on campus here right now anyway. So hopefully it will work out. If there aren't any other questions, then that's it for today. The only assignment is the only assignments are the formatives and the study guide. So keep up the good work. We'll talk about Act 2 next week.
All right.
Bye.
Bye, Miss. Have a good evening.
You too.